The cold metallic chamber hummed with an eerie silence as Hannah Kim's body began to transform. She wasn't truly Hannah, not yet. Her real identity was something far more complex, a being from a distant civilization whose name would be unpronounceable in human language. The biomimetic technology worked slowly, carefully reconstructing her alien physiology into a perfect human form. Her skin shifted from a translucent silvery tone to a warm golden brown complexion. Bones realigned, organs reshaped, and neural pathways rewired themselves to mimic human biological systems. Her mission was simple yet extraordinary: spend 90 days experiencing human existence from the inside. No alien had ever attempted such a complete immersion before. Her research team had spent decades developing this transformation technology, and she was their first true test subject. As the final stages of transformation completed, Hannah opened her eyes. They were brown now, with tiny blood vessels, tear ducts, and complex iris structures, nothing like her original sensory receptors. The first sensation overwhelmed her: temperature. Warmth. Something her original body had never truly experienced. She flexed her new fingers, watching in fascination as each digit moved independently. The complexity of human biology was stunning. Each muscle, each nerve ending seemed to have its own unique communication system. Her scientific mind was already analyzing, cataloging, comparing. The research facility was located in a quiet suburban area outside of Seattle. Carefully selected. Perfectly ordinary. Her first steps were awkward. Human locomotion was so different from her species' gliding movement. Balance required constant micro-adjustments. Muscles she had never used before suddenly became active. Her prepared background was that of a visiting research scientist at a local technology company. Documents were perfect. Identity established. But documentation meant nothing compared to the actual experience of being human. The first unexpected challenge came with breathing. Lungs expanding and contracting, the sensation of air moving through nostrils, the subtle variations in oxygen intake. It was dramatically different from her species' atmospheric absorption methods. She found herself consciously controlling each breath, fascinated by the involuntary yet complex respiratory system. Her initial human clothing felt strange. Fabric against skin created sensations she had never imagined. The slight friction, the way cotton moved with body temperature, how different materials responded to movement, each was a new scientific discovery. In the mirror, she studied her reflection. A young woman in her late 20s stared back. Dark hair, average height, seemingly ordinary. But her eyes betrayed something different, a hint of something not quite human. An intensity of observation that went beyond normal human perception. The first day would be crucial. Adaptation. Integration. Understanding. Her mission required complete immersion, not just physical transformation but psychological absorption of human experience. Her research parameters were clear: document everything. Experience everything. Understand the fundamental nature of human existence through direct, personal interaction. As she prepared to step outside the research facility, her heart rate increased. Not from fear, from pure scientific excitement. Humans called this feeling anticipation. For her, it was the beginning of the most important research project her civilization had ever attempted. The door opened. Sunlight touched her skin. A gentle breeze carried multiple sensory inputs, something her original body could never have processed. Grass. Car exhaust. Distant cooking smells. Humidity. Temperature variations. Her first breath of outside air marked the true beginning of her 90-day journey into humanity. Little did she know how profoundly this experiment would change everything she understood about intelligent life. The office buzzed with typical morning energy. Hannah adjusted her black blazer, carefully observing the human workplace ritual. David Park, her assigned workplace mentor, approached with a steaming coffee cup and a friendly smile. "Morning, Hannah," he said, placing a cup on her desk. "How are you settling in?" She understood the social protocol required a pleasant response. "Perfectly fine," she replied, mimicking the casual tone she had studied extensively. Human communication was far more complex than her scientific training had prepared her for. Words meant little compared to tone, body language, and unspoken social signals. David's smile didn't just communicate greeting, it carried subtle layers of welcome, mild curiosity, and professional friendliness. Her first week revealed unexpected challenges. Workplace interactions weren't about pure information exchange. They involved elaborate social dancing, jokes, small talks, indirect communications. Humans rarely said exactly what they meant. During a team meeting, Hannah observed how conversations meandered. Technical discussions would suddenly include personal anecdotes. Colleagues would interrupt each other, laugh, share brief personal stories. Her initial impulse was to categorize these interactions as inefficient. But slowly, she recognized they served a deeper purpose, building connection. Michael Chen, the project manager, seemed particularly skilled at this social navigation. He could discuss complex technical problems while simultaneously making people feel valued and understood. His leadership wasn't just about giving instructions, but creating an emotional environment where people wanted to collaborate. Lunch became her primary research ground. Watching humans eat was fascinating. Food wasn't merely nutritional intake, it was a complex social ritual. People shared meals, discussed personal lives, expressed emotions through food choices and eating behaviors. One particular lunch conversation caught her attention. Two female colleagues discussed a recent breakup, their conversation filled with emotional nuance. They weren't just sharing information, they were processing emotions, seeking support, creating social bonds. Her alien training would have categorized such interaction as unnecessary. But here, she was beginning to understand its profound importance. Emotional support wasn't weakness, it was a sophisticated survival mechanism. Workplace humor proved especially challenging. Jokes contained layers of meaning. Sarcasm. Implied meanings. Cultural references. What seemed like simple verbal exchanges were actually complex communication systems requiring deep cultural understanding. David noticed her occasional confusion. "You seem a bit distant sometimes," he mentioned casually one afternoon. "Everything okay?" Hannah realized humans valued emotional checking in. Her response needed to balance professional distance with emotional accessibility. "Just processing some new project details," she responded, matching his casual tone. Her research database continuously updated. Each interaction added complexity to her understanding of human social structures. Workplace wasn't just about productivity, it was an ecosystem of human interactions, emotions, and unspoken agreements. The most surprising discovery was how much information traveled through nonverbal channels. A raised eyebrow. A slight smile. A momentary pause. These carried more meaning than hundreds spoken words. By the end of her second week, Hannah was no longer just observing. She was participating. Small jokes. Casual conversations. Understanding workplace dynamics wasn't about perfect execution but about genuine attempt to connect. Her alien research team would be shocked. Humans weren't just a species to be studied. They were a complex, beautifully unpredictable network of emotional and social intelligence. As evening approached and colleagues prepared to leave, Hannah realized something profound: she was no longer just an observer. She was slowly becoming a participant in this intricate human world. The transformation was just beginning. Elena Lee's world crashed around her when the phone call came. Her father had suffered a massive heart attack. In that moment, Hannah witnessed something her scientific training could never have prepared her for: raw, unfiltered human emotion. The office fell silent. Colleagues moved differently, not with efficiency, but with compassion. Michael approached Elena, his hand gentle on her shoulder. No words were spoken. Touch became a language of support. Hannah observed every detail. Human emotional response was not weakness, as her civilization believed. It was a sophisticated survival mechanism. Emotional connections created networks stronger than any technological system. Elena's breakdown happened unexpectedly. During a team meeting, she suddenly started crying. In her original world, such public display of vulnerability would be considered a critical system failure. Here, it triggered an immediate support response. Colleagues surrounded her. Some brought water. Others shared personal stories of loss. They didn't try to stop her pain, they acknowledged it. They validated her experience. Michael organized immediate support, arranging her travel and work coverage without hesitation. "We're family here," he told Elena, a statement that would have seemed completely illogical in her alien computational understanding. Hannah's research database struggled to categorize these interactions. Emotional support wasn't just a social nicety, it was a complex survival mechanism. Humans transformed individual weakness into collective strength. She watched how Elena's colleagues became her support network. Phone calls, messages, practical help, financial support. These weren't just professional courtesies, they were intricate social bonds that transformed individuals suffering into shared resilience. During Elena's absence, the entire office dynamic shifted. Work continued, but with a different energy. Conversations became softer. People checked on each other more frequently. Her colleagues demonstrated something profound: emotional intelligence was a form of collective survival strategy. Michael's leadership impressed her most. He didn't just manage tasks, he managed human experiences. He understood that productivity wasn't about strict rules, but about creating an environment where humans could process their complex emotional landscapes. One evening, staying late, Hannah overheard a conversation between David and Michael. They weren't discussing work strategies. They were sharing personal vulnerabilities. A recent divorce. Parenting challenges. Financial stress. In her original civilization, such open emotional disclosure would be considered a critical system malfunction. Here, it was a method of building deeper understanding, of creating resilience through shared experience. Her body, now fully human, began responding differently. Emotions weren't just chemical reactions. They were complex communication systems. She could feel the weight of human experience, not just understand it intellectually. When Elena returned, something had fundamentally changed. Her colleagues didn't treat her with pity. They treated her with respect. They had created a protective emotional ecosystem around her. Hannah realized humans were not just individuals. They were interconnected emotional networks. Each person carried multiple layers of experience, pain, joy, and resilience. Their strength wasn't in individual perfection, but in their capacity to support each other through imperfection. Her scientific mind struggled to process this. Emotional depth wasn't a weakness, it was the most advanced survival mechanism she had ever witnessed. The human capacity to transform individual pain into collective strength was something her civilization had never understood. Emotions weren't random chemical responses. They were sophisticated communication technologies that allowed complex social organisms to adapt, survive, and evolve. As days passed, Hannah moved from being an observer to a participant. She wasn't just studying human emotional systems anymore. She was becoming part of them. Her 90-day mission was revealing something far more profound than a simple cultural research project. She was discovering the true nature of intelligent life, not through technological advancement, but through emotional complexity. The transformation was deep, irreversible. And just beginning, Michael Kim entered Hannah's world like an unexpected algorithm, complex, unpredictable, and completely outside her original research parameters. Their first real conversation happened during a company team-building event. While others played silly games and laughed, Michael sat quietly, observing. Something about his reserved nature intrigued her scientific mind. "You're not enjoying the games," Hannah observed. Michael's smile was unexpected. "I prefer understanding people over performing for them." Those simple words triggered something profound in her research perspective. Humans weren't just about external performance, they valued deeper connection. As weeks passed, Michael became more than a colleague. His background fascinated her, a software engineer who had abandoned a lucrative Silicon Valley career to work on community technology projects. When she asked why, his answer surprised her. Technology should serve humanity, not replace human connections, he explained. His perspective challenged everything her civilization believed about technological superiority. Humans didn't see technology as a replacement for experience, they saw it as a tool for enhancing human potential. Their conversations became increasingly complex. Michael spoke about community technology projects helping rural schools, developing affordable medical diagnostic tools, creating educational platforms for underserved populations. Each discussion revealed layers of human motivation her original research had never captured. Humans weren't just surviving, they were continuously reimagining their potential. One evening, during a late-night project discussion, something unexpected happened. Michael shared a personal story about his grandmother, a refugee who had rebuilt her life in a new country. Her resilience, her ability to transform trauma into opportunity, became a metaphor for human potential. Hannah realized her civilization's fundamental misunderstanding: humans weren't weak. They were incredibly adaptive, resilient beings capable of transforming challenges into opportunities. Their relationship developed slowly. Not a romantic connection in traditional human terms, but a deep intellectual and emotional understanding. Michael saw through her carefully constructed human persona, recognizing something different in her perspective. "You observe differently," he mentioned one afternoon. "Not like most people." Little did he know how profoundly accurate his observation was. Her research parameters began shifting. What started as a clinical observation of human behavior was becoming a deeply personal transformation. She wasn't just studying humans, she was becoming one. Workplace interactions, social dynamics, emotional connections, everything she previously considered random now appeared as a sophisticated, interconnected system of survival and growth. Michael's work with community technology projects became a turning point. She accompanied him to rural technology centers, watching how simple technological interventions could transform entire community ecosystems. A solar-powered medical diagnostic center. An online education platform for remote villages. Affordable water filtration systems. Each project demonstrated something remarkable: human innovation wasn't about technological complexity, but about solving real human challenges. Her alien research perspective crumbled. Humans weren't a species to be categorized or studied from a distance. They were a dynamic, continuously evolving phenomenon of creativity, resilience, and unexpected potential. The 90-day mission was no longer just a research project. It had become a profound personal journey of understanding. As her transformation deepened, Hannah understood something her civilization had never comprehended: intelligence wasn't about technological superiority. It was about the capacity to adapt, to empathize, to continuously reimagine potential. Humans weren't perfect. They were beautifully, wonderfully imperfect. And in that imperfection lay their greatest strength. Her report would shock her research team. But she was no longer concerned about scientific validation. She had discovered something far more important: the true meaning of existence. The transformation was complete. And irreversible. The final day arrived with unexpected silence. Hannah stood in the research facility, her transformed human body preparing for reversal. 90 days had passed like a complex, emotional dream. Her research team waited, expecting a standard scientific report. They would receive something far more profound. The transformation chamber hummed, its metallic surfaces reflecting clinical precision. But Hannah's mind was anything but clinical. Memories flooded her consciousness: David's workplace kindness, Elena's emotional resilience, Michael's community vision. Humans were not what her civilization believed. They were not a species to be studied, but a phenomenon to be understood. Her bodily transformation began slowly. Human cells reluctantly surrendered their newfound complexity. Each molecular shift carried emotional memories: the warmth of human touch, the depth of human connection, the unexpected beauty of imperfection. Michael arrived unexpectedly. "You're leaving," he stated, not as a question but an observation. Hannah realized human goodbyes were never simple transactions. They were emotional landscapes filled with unspoken feelings, complex connections. My research is complete, she responded, her voice carrying unexpected emotional weight. Michael understood something was different. Her eyes, though preparing to return to their original form, held a depth he had never witnessed. She was no longer just an observer. She had become a participant in human experience. The research team monitored her transformation, expecting standard physiological data. They would receive a report that would fundamentally challenge their understanding of intelligent life. Her memories played like a complex emotional algorithm. The workplace interactions. The unexpected kindness. The resilience she had witnessed. Humans were not weak creatures waiting for technological intervention. They were adaptive, creative beings capable of transforming challenges into opportunities. Her alien research perspective had completely transformed. Humanity was not a species to be categorized. They were a continuous, evolving phenomenon of emotional and intellectual potential. As her human form slowly dissolved, something unprecedented happened. Her emotional database, now fundamentally human, resisted complete erasure. The experiences, the connections, the profound understanding she had gained were not just data. They were a lived experience. The research team watched in confusion. Their advanced transformation technology had never encountered such resistance. Hannah's human experience was rewriting their understanding of biological and emotional transfer. Michael watched silently, understanding something profound was happening. This was not just a scientific experiment. This was a transformative moment of interspecies understanding. Her final report would shock her civilization. Humans were not inferior. They were not waiting to be upgraded or improved. They were a remarkable, complex system of emotional and intellectual potential. The transformation chamber completed its cycle. Hannah's human form disappeared, replaced by her original alien physiology. But something fundamental had changed. Her research database was no longer just a collection of clinical observations. It was a profound testament to human potential. Tears, a human response she had learned, formed in her alien eyes. Not from pain, but from a deep, unexpected emotional connection. The research team expected a standard report. They would receive a revolutionary document that would challenge everything they understood about intelligent life. Hannah was no longer just a researcher. She had become a bridge between two different forms of existence. Her 90-day journey had transformed not just her understanding, but the potential understanding of her entire civilization. Humanity was not a species to be studied. They were a continuous, beautiful, unpredictable phenomenon of emotional and intellectual brilliance. The transformation was complete. And nothing would ever be the same again. Her final thought, before submitting her report, carried the profound emotional depth of her human experience. Humans were not just a species. They were a miracle.